Good evening. My name is Aura B. Douglas, and I am the International Program Chairman for Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I am delighted to welcome you to our webinar, Navigating the College Admissions Process During the COVID-19 Pandemic. We will now have greetings from Dr. Glenda Glover, International President of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and President of Tennessee State University.
Greetings. I am honored to welcome you to this Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority #CAP webinar. I am Dr. Glenda Glover, President of Alpha Kappa Alpha, and also the proud President of Tennessee State University. Under this administration of exemplifying excellence through sustainable service, our signature program, #CAP, which is short for College Admissions Process, was launched in 2018. This program is designed to assist students in their efforts to enter college by providing a hands-on approach that includes all the steps from researching various colleges to actually completing the application process. Our #CAP program has been very successful in Alpha Kappa Alpha, with more than 75,000 high school juniors and seniors participating. We realize the COVID-19 pandemic has had an effect on the college admissions process, and we thought it was necessary to invite colleges and universities to provide first-hand information on challenges and solutions for our students as they navigate the college admissions process in the midst of this pandemic. I am honored to have Attorney Star Jones as moderator for this evening, and more honored to have students and their parents join us for the webinar. I personally thank the colleges and universities that have joined the webinar today, and I'm hopeful that our students will get the information they need to complete a successful transition from high school to college. Again, welcome to this important program.
Hello, everyone. I'm Star Jones, and I'll be your moderator tonight. Thank you so very much for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Glover, for inviting me, and thank you, Sir Douglas, for really putting this program together. Ladies and gentlemen, research shows that many African American youth have difficulty getting into college because they do not have the parental or academic support needed to complete the application and enrollment process. They are simply overwhelmed, in a word. Students and their families also have difficulty navigating the financial aid process, which can be intimidating to those who are unfamiliar with the various funding sources. These impediments result in some otherwise capable students not being admitted to college, experiencing delays in attending college. For high school seniors and their parents, and for families of high school juniors as well, the ongoing pandemic has impacted every aspect of the college search and application process. Standardized tests like the SAT and ACT have become optional at most four-year colleges and universities, at least for this academic year, and perhaps into the future. Many students who are scheduled to enroll in college campuses this fall have instead chosen to defer their arrival by taking a gap year, raising questions among applicants for next year's class about whether there's going to be availability of the precious seats and whether they'll be tighter. Meanwhile, the ability to visit campuses in person, normally a critical step as young people and their families assess potential fit, is often impossible, not least because of the range of quarantine rules between the states, forcing young people to embark on these journeys virtually. And then there's the matter of cost and affordability, especially for families under escalating financial strain. This evening, we have assembled a stellar panel of college admission experts who, from their combined vantage points as admission officers, admission personnel, and counselors, they consider tens of thousands of applications per year. And as longtime education experts who have observed this process up close, they know that an admission gauntlet can feel bewildering in the best of times, and that has been made all the more unnerving by the events of this last year. This evening, we plan to help you navigate that gauntlet. So welcome again. Please let me introduce you to those who are joining us this evening. First, from Florida A&M University, FAMU, Les Ferrier, Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs and Enrollment Management. From Tennessee State University, Portia Johnson, Admissions Recruiter, Tennessee State University Office of Admissions and Recruitment. North Carolina Central brings us Simone Gilchrist, Counselor in the Office of Undergraduate Admission, North Carolina Central University. From Miami University, we have Jonica Moore, Senior Associate Director, Diversity Initiatives, Miami University Office of Admission. From the University of Maryland, we have Robert M. Oliveri joining us. He's the Midwest Regional Coordinator, the Office of Undergraduate Admissions Enrollment Management. From Texas Southern University, Dr. Brian Armstrong joins us, and he is the Executive Director for Outreach. From the University of California, Los Angeles, Jamaica Williams, Assistant Director, Freshman Recruitment at UCLA. And Devon Walker, Assistant Director, African American Recruitment, UCLA's Undergraduate Admissions. We get 2 for 1 tonight. And finally, from Loyola Marymount University, Mr. Charles Mason, who is the Associate Director of Admission. I would very much like to thank all of this distinguished panel who are going to join us this evening and help us answer some of the very serious questions that I know so many of our students and parents have. And let's table set, as I like to do. This pandemic, as I have said, has disproportionately impacted Black, Indigenous, and students of color, and of course their families. So I want to ask the entire panel if you could table set for us with just a first minute of your remarks. To what extent are your college's diversity, inclusion, and equity efforts addressing this within your individual institution? And I'm going to actually start with Les from Florida A&M University.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jones, and great to be here tonight. First thing I want to say, there is nothing transactional that the way we handle diversity and inclusion at Florida A&M. Throughout our 134-year history, we are a welcoming institution, all different races, cultures, ethnicities, and regardless of the pandemic, whether there's one or not, we always check in on our students' mental health, their fiscal health. Of course, if students can't afford, they wouldn't be here. But most importantly, I think during this pandemic, students have had extra challenges. They've had food problems. We've opened new food pantries. They've had problems with medical care. We've made sure our students have medical care. We've got the biggest vaccination and testing site in the Big Bend area in Florida. Even though some of our students are not on campus, we are required to test for COVID every other week. So we have a firm grip on the situation, what our students are doing, how they're partying. You know, students like to get together, and that can be detrimental. But without being too obtrusive, we have become even more a part of their life than we usually are. And they've accepted this, both as our love for them and as being a responsible institution.
Thank you so much, Les. I'm going to move to Tennessee State University and ask Portia, how is TSU working with these diversity, inclusion, and equity issues?
Thank you so much for that question, Star. Here at Tennessee State University, we definitely pride ourselves on being a very diverse historical Black college and university. One target group that we really like to work with is our international students, because we can also know how it could possibly feel to travel to another country without any family or knowing anyone. So we definitely want to make sure that our international students are very well welcomed to our to our university, and making sure that we are respectful of their cultures and that they feel inclusive, just like everyone else. So we do have diversity and international teams here at the university in the undergraduate and on the graduate level. And so, especially in the midst of COVID, where students are so very far away from home, whether they're from California or if they are from across the globe, we are doing everything that we can to ensure that they are feeling welcome and that they're feeling safe here in our university. Because they cannot go back home because of traveling reasons and such. So we do have those officers that are here in place that work around the clock to ensure that everyone and anyone is feeling inclusive, and that we are definitely promoting diversity within our university.
Thank you so very much, Portia. Jada, now I'm going to turn to you for NCCU's take on this particular topic.
Hi, Star Jones. I'm Simone Gilchrist. I'm representing NCCU, and I just
apologies, Simone.
No problem, no problem, Star. So NCCU just has a long history of opening their doors to our international students, and we have a very strong international affairs office that dedicates to helping onboard our international students, helping them get all their documents needed, and they're a great partner to our admissions office with also providing extra support, whether it's other financial resources or if it's that, just additional help, because sometimes it's unclear to them how they are going to come to campus in the first place. So just providing additional assistance once they stay on campus, and just creating a home away from home with allowing them to stay year round, even if they're not able to get home as well. We're also taking a lot of different safety precautions during this time and highlighting that we've been working very close to the CDC just to ensure safety on our campus for all our students.
Thank you so much, Simone. So you guys are really moving at NCCU. Let's move to Miami University, and that is Janika Moore.
Hi, thank you, Star. At Miami University, we have really buckled down on trying to enhance the family feel. At Miami, when we welcome students to campus, we say, welcome to the Miami family. And during the COVID pandemic, that family feel had to be extended beyond just our campus. We are located in a rural location, so most of our students typically lived on campus. Well, during the pandemic, they had to transition home. And so it was very, very important for us to extend that experience and access to our counseling services, to our health services, and to our support on campus. Similar to what Les referred to as the food insecurity, the food pantry, instituting laptop loan programs, as well as emergency scholarship funds and funds for students who needed to go home. During March of last year, when the universities had to close seemingly abruptly, students had to figure out ways to get home, including some of our international students. And we worked very closely across campus to create a process for students to get gift cards and to buy travel tickets and plane tickets for these students to transition from Oxford, Ohio to wherever they were in the United States. Also, one of the things that has come to light with our university is the ability to reach students where they are. So Miami recently instituted having diversity directors within each of the colleges to support students and to connect with them. Because most students come to college, they're thinking about academics. That's the first thing that they're sort of they transition to their academic advisor or their faculty person. So having someone that is about diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as belonging within the academic divisions, was one of the many things that Miami University instituted to ensure that no student falls through the cracks.
Thank you so very much, Janika. Now, as I looked at University of Maryland, Robert Oliveri, tell me what University of Maryland is doing.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us this evening. And University of Maryland, it is at the foundation of what we do. Almost half of our student body is students who identify as students of color. So on top of what we have been traditionally doing with our diversity and equity office, we are adding services like social work services for students that find themselves in inclusion and in quarantined housing. On top of that, we started a brand new course called Grand Challenges that was led by our president, Pines, that talks about all the major issues that have brought about in 2020. And finally, just on March 10th, we started a critical conversations with Black and Brown student leaders on our campus and created a dashboard that everyone can see live where we're at, what issues we have, where we're in progress, and what the next steps are to complete.
Thank you so much, Robert. I appreciate just the efforts that all of these universities are making. Speaking of which, Dr. Brian Armstrong, tell us what TSU is doing.
Thank you, Ms. Jones, and I'm very excited to be here tonight representing Texas Southern University. As one of the nation's largest historically Black colleges and universities in one of the largest cities in the nation, when some schools were shutting down and going completely virtual, TSU, Texas Southern University, did not have that option. Some of our students need us. They need our support. They need our resources. They need our services. And so we had to act quickly. We had to put programs in place. We had to put protocols in place to make sure that when students, not if, but when students chose to live on campus, they had the right resources to be on campus in a very safe environment. We are actually hosting vaccinations on our campus right now. So our students, our faculty, even our community, the Houston community can benefit from the support that we're providing at Texas Southern University. And more importantly, though, our alumni have been so amazing as we reached out to them to help our Tigers. You know, it takes one to help one. And when our alumni answered our call and began to provide resources, that meant the world to us because we know the support of our alumni is a great support to have. So that's what we're doing at Texas Southern University.
Thank you so much, Dr. Armstrong. It just seems as if you all have incorporated the entire community into your efforts there at TSU. I understand, Devon, I'm going to call on you to represent the University of California in Los Angeles. What is UCLA doing?
Thank you very much, Queen Jones. A lot of amazing efforts being done across the nation. So a lot of love for all of our colleagues on here, along with what a lot of our colleagues are doing specifically for our African-American, African diaspora communities. We have our Black Staff and Faculty Association that have been meeting on a bi-monthly basis to make sure that all of the campus is really behind what our students are putting forward and the needs that they have communicated to our leadership. We also have a new Black Brew and Resource Center on our campus, going to be in the middle of Ackerman Union to really provide a safe, amazing, unapologetic space for our students to congregate and get access directly to resources. And then of course, we have our Community Programs Office, which is giving out our laptop grants, our food vouchers, and the basic needs to our amazing students. So again, I do want to make sure we give our love to our students who have been at the forefront of this and letting us know what they need, and the amazing staff that have been ready at the willing to get their needs met.
I love that as I listen to what the diversity efforts are, they continue to be diverse. And so a lot of focus on community, a lot of focus on the difference that students, the different students that are coming in, a lot of focus on what parents are going to do. So across the board, it seems as if you all have really just stepped up. And finally, let me go to Charles Mason from Loyola Marymount to give us his table set on this very important issue.
Good evening.
Yeah, I think now, okay.
All right, good evening. It's a blessing to be here. I want to thank my colleagues for the work that they do, and especially the AKAs. Loyola Marymount University, some would consider it historical Black college, if you could believe that, being a PWI. We have a village, we have a community of Black faculty, staff, students, and alumni who support our students beyond COVID throughout their entire experience. Our students get help and support from athletics to academics. We are in Los Angeles, but we're very fortunate to be in an area called the Silicon Beach, which houses Google, YouTube, IMAX, Microsoft. These companies stepped up during the pandemic and to the present to help the university and specifically to help Black students. In order to help the students, you got to love the students. I'm going to quote Mary J. Blige. Our love is real. Our students are mentored, supported, advised, and loved. Emergency finances, mentoring, support, psychological student services. We will always be there for our students over and beyond their academic experience at LMU.
I have to tell you, boy, whenever an educator can quote the queen herself, Mary J. Blige, that just tells us that you all are very much in touch with what your students are thinking and doing. So I am just grateful that you all have shown just the amount of diversity that our educational institutions are putting in to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So now let's do some specific questions. I have such a stellar panel and so many questions. I'm going to ask you individually, and if there is anyone who has something to add to a particular question, please just indicate that to me so that I can include you in that discussion. So let me start back with Les Ferrier from Florida A&M. Let's talk to us about what changes in the college application process should students actually be aware of since this pandemic started, and just in general, what are some changes that student eligibility requirements have actually been put into place?
Right. Great question, Ms. Jones. I think the most obvious change in the process, and I think all my colleagues here would agree, is that many colleges and universities across the nation, both public and private, have gone test optional for the actual application process, or even waived the test, SAT and ACT. But students and parents, I want you to remember a couple of things here. Even with the difficulty of test registration, there are institutions that still require testing for admission, even during the pandemic time. Some rules might even vary state by state. For instance, here in Florida, our students were still beset with the same registration problems for testing, but the state university system, which we are under, did not go test optional. The Florida Board of Governors, appointed by the governor, set the parameters for all admission requirements. They have no control over the private institutions in the state, so eligibility will also vary according to the institution. And finally, remember, students and parents, that just because tests might not be necessary for admission, they still might be necessary to compete for internal merit scholarships. You just have to be on your toes. And even worse, it might even be topsy-turvy next year. The rules might be different. So you guys hang in there and just try to pay attention.
We're going to do a little deeper dive in the whole testing in just a little bit, but I also wanted to say, was there any general changes in student eligibility requirements, Les?
Not to my knowledge. I think that the testing was the biggest thing. Another thing you might say, there are several different common applications, and that would have caused a snafu, because the common applications normally will have their own set of rules in addition to the rules that the individual colleges and universities have. But normally when you apply, we're asking basically similar questions, so on and so forth like that. Obviously, international students had a major challenge because a lot of the countries had closed their borders.
I understand that. Thank you so very much again. I'm going to move to this question that I probably get a lot from a lot of the mentees that I have in my life. A lot of parents are asking, how can my child take the measure of a campus that they can't visit? And I'm going to put this to Portia, Sora Portia at Tennessee State University. So tell us, have in-person campus tours resumed? And if so, how are they being conducted safely? And if they're not, are virtual visits being offered? Why don't you take on this topic of visits at the universities?
Yes, Sora Star. This is actually a question that I get a lot as well. I get this question on a daily basis. And I will say that is probably one of the biggest things I missed during this pandemic, is actually being able to be face-to-face with the families and giving campus tours. I mean, that was a very exciting aspect of our job here in the Office of Admissions and Recruitment. Here at TSU, of course, the safety of our current students that currently reside here on campus is our top priority. We have taken every measure possible to ensure that they are safe while they are here learning. So we have offered many different options for parents and students that are wanting to come and visit our beautiful 500-acre main campus here at TSU. We have definitely different options that are available. We have a Q&A session that we offer every Friday where we give a virtual tour that is guided by our Tiger tour guides. Like I stated, that's offered every Friday and every last Saturday of the month. I even myself have went into the private Facebook groups that we have for our incoming classes and have actually did a Facebook Live and walked the campus and given our classes of 2024 and classes of 2025 live tours of the campus, since they cannot actually physically come to campus during the pandemic last year and at the beginning of this year. We also have a full 360 virtual tour that is located on our website that is introduced there virtually by our president, Dr. Glenda Baskin-Glover. And that is a fully immersive tour that shows you through the campus. It kind of guides you as if you were actually walking the campus, goes inside the buildings, the dorms. So it gives you a full look of how life is here at TSU. And another thing that we're very proud of is that we've actually do a lot of one-on-one sessions with parents and students through our Calendly links. They set appointments with us and we give them those virtual tours, or we might actually step out and do some things via Zoom. But like I stated, the safety of our current students is our main priority. So at this moment, we are not physically offering campus tours, but we are hoping to resume that soon. And as soon as our campus tours are available on campus, we will send that information out on all social media platforms.
Thank you so much, Laura. I appreciate that. Jamika, I know that UCLA has a program. Why don't you share what UCLA is doing?
Sure. So with UCLA being in a more lockdown state, we definitely have a few virtual options that are currently available to prospective students as well as their young learners as well. So we offer campus tours virtually twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and those are guided by our current UCLA campus tour guides through a virtual platform called UVisit, which is also available on our admission website. And then we also offer UCLA Cub tours, which are campus tours that are guided specifically for students kindergarten through 8th grade. So we have a couple of different options available at UCLA as well.
Thank you so much, Amika. I see that Robert Oliveri from Maryland wanted to share.
Yes, thank you so much, Star. I also wanted to add, talk to your friends that are already at these universities, especially if they lived in a similar neighborhood as you, went to your same high school. Talk about that transition and talk about their experiences, or even alumni that have graduated and moved on. It's really helpful to use your network and your family support system that have already been there to understand and know the experiences that you would have at those specific institutions you're considering.
Great insight. Let's, we talked tours. I know that's a big issue. Let's now talk about the issue that everybody wants to know, and that's test scores. So I'm going to start off with Simone. Simone from NCCU. What are some of the overall changes and how colleges and universities are going to use test scores for admission? Simone, because this is really kind of confusing. A lot of people use that pass-fail grading. Yes, you pass the class, or no, or yes, you fail the class. But I know that there have been some changes. Can you share what you know, and then maybe we can get some colleagues to join in?
Yes, thank you. So right now, NCCU, and I know a lot of other colleges have done this, we've waived all test scores. So SAT and ACT test scores, they have been waived. So this helps out a lot because a lot of testing sites have been shut down. A lot of students don't have access to testing sites. A lot of families have, gone through financial changes where they cannot, provide money for their student to take tests at this time. So we understand that. So we have waived our test scores, and we're just looking at your GPA being at a 2.5. And also we're looking at your your transcript information, and of course your application fee. So we're focusing with that pass or fail. We understand that students had to go home mid-year last year, so they had to do alternative assignments to either get that pass or fail. So as long as you have a credit for that class, we're able to count that. So as long as you have one credit and we see pass, we're able to count that towards, and we understand it goes towards your GPA as well. So of course, if you do not receive a credit, we cannot count that class.
You know, Simone, this is very interesting because I actually had this conversation literally a week ago with a friend about her son who tended to test well, but did not have a superior GPA. What do you do for a student that finds themselves in that situation?
And you know what, that's really tough because you either get the students, and I remember myself, I was great in classrooms, but I didn't test well. So in those situations, sometimes we just advise them if they can, go to community college and kind of take a course and then have that be added to their GPA. So that's most of the times what we do, because we do have to go by state protocols with that GPA. And so I always advise and counsel students and parents that they can take an additional class at a community college and then reapply to NCCU.
Let me go, thank you so much. Let me go to Devon over at UCLA. Devon, do you have something to add here?
Yes, please. I love what Simone said about taking community college courses. If you are, interested in UCLA or any of our UC sister schools, definitely consider taking those to help you become more competitive. But UCLA and a lot of our other UC schools, we are part of one UC campus. We are test free up into 2024. So if you are not a strong test taker, don't have the resources to take testing, or you do not want to provide the information, you can still be 100% eligible and competitive to any one of our campuses. If you are one of those students that, you score well on tests and test taking is kind of in your repertoire, we definitely encourage you to even take some AP tests, some IB tests, because those are still seen on the application and those can still help you become competitive for UCLA.
Oh, thank you so much. Janika at Miami, I see that you have a comment that you can add.
Yes, thank you, Star. I think, again, like Devon stated, Miami University and many colleges do what we call a holistic and contextual review, which means that we look at every part of your application. So there's not one factor that can get you denied or admitted to the university. So it's super important for students and families. We're a part of Common Application to make sure that application is completed thoroughly. So you don't have a test score. We were test optional this year. More than likely, we will be test optional next year. So for those students who are strong test takers and not so with the GPA, they can submit their test scores. And for those who opt out, they do not have to, but also extracurriculars, your essay, all of that factors into the review process for us, as well as looking at you in relation to your school, right? So we're not looking at your GPA across all the schools of students that apply to Miami University. We're looking at the student in relation to the school that they attend, because we understand some schools don't offer honors, some offer AP, some allow you to do college credit, and others do not. So we want to make sure that we are evaluating the student holistically based on their application. So the key point of takeaway is that application is very important, and make sure you complete it thoroughly. No, don't leave things out. Students are like, well, I volunteered. That's good. Put that on your application. I take care of my siblings. That's good. Put that on your application. So just want to reiterate that application is super important for the admission review process.
Okay, great. I see that Robert Oliveri has a comment.
Yes, I just wanted to add to the holistic review. At University of Maryland, we do that as well. You can find on our website the 26 different factors that we review on. So you can truly see what we're looking at in each application. And having a test score doesn't ding against you, right? It's just one thing that's not on there, but we have 25 other factors that we're looking at and reviewing for your application. And for your example that you were saying earlier with a high test score but lower GPA, when we're looking at that, we want the test score to kind of match the student, and apply test optional if it doesn't. So if you have a lower GPA with a high test score, you have a lot of potential there, but are you using it in the classroom, right? So we really want that to align with what we're looking at within the student, test score and GPA, both being really equal and making sure that you'll be successful at each of our institutions.
Thank you again. I'm going to move on to another big topic, and that's money. We talk test scores, let's talk money. And I'm going to actually start with Janika on this one. Janika Moore from Miami University. Let's look at money. Due to the pandemic and school budgets, deeply impacted, are scholarships and financial aid impacted for students to attend?
I would have to say they were both positively and negatively impacted.
Okay.
Let's start with the negative impact. So financial strain with what I referred to earlier, with families and students not being able to or wanting to transition home, that was lost revenue for many colleges and universities. And where they normally would use their reserves or additional budgets to supplement scholarships, giving students more, or allowing more students to get scholarships, that money was missing. And so colleges and universities, from my understanding, still granted scholarships and need-based monies to students. It was, as you know, the families are now needing more. And so the addition of more was able to be granted. The positive is the federal government gave us CARES money, and colleges and universities immediately dispersed that money to current students, as well as set up scholarship programs for incoming first-year students. So that part was a positive add to the scholarshiping landscape.
Since we're talking about money, I guess I can just do a follow-up with you on with colleges and families experiencing such financial strain. How can families really be able to afford a higher education? And now let me also speak for the parents that are out there. And I think I'm being very personal here because I have a 15-year-old and I'm looking at this in 2 years. A lot of students feel as if they're not getting the full benefit of the university experience, but they're still paying the same amount of money. So parents want to know, how are we supposed to be able to afford really giving a quality higher education? And I think that's fair. I think they would get on me if I didn't ask that question.
I must say that, and many of my colleagues on the panel can speak to this, the quality of education, I can say when the transition happened abruptly, many schools had to, hurry up and pivot and turn left or right. I think that part might have been disruptive for families. But I can say most of our colleges and universities who have been living in this pandemic for a year have risen the bar for their virtual experience. So the content of the educational experience is still the same. You're still getting that quality, world-renowned, known, or award-winning research faculty person that's connecting with the student. It's just happening in a virtual platform. The missing part is sort of the on-campus experience. And many of my colleagues around the country, the access to programming has grown exponentially. Where if you had an event on campus, you might have a group of students. Now, from the comfort of their own home and their residence hall room, for those who have on-campus living, can access that program. So I do want to slightly debunk the myth. I think it's just a perspective, right? I went to school this way. I want my son or daughter to go to school in that same exact way. But we all understand that they may or may not have the same college experience. I actually have a son that is in college right now, and it's drastically different. Even working in higher education, I still had to go through the process like, okay, this is new. This is a different process. But now more than ever, I do want to reiterate for families to really spend the sophomore and junior year of high school researching third-party or outside scholarships so that they can have the opportunity. I like to call it the Baskin-Robbins effect. So depending on the financial situation, you could have 2 options or you could have 31 options. So going to sites like scholarship.com, fastweb.com, those are web crawlers. You can put in parameters. I'm an African-American female who lives in the Midwest, and it will set up alerts, that's what I'm trying to say, alerts to you to notify you of scholarships that your son or daughter can participate in. Also, there are scholarship foundations in your county, in your state, or in your city that serve as clearinghouses for, let's say I want to set up a scholarship fund and I go through this clearinghouse and they distribute the scholarship, they do the application. You can go through those clearinghouses to get scholarships for various areas. And I would be remiss, my colleagues would probably be, they're probably raising their hand. Many colleges and universities have their own scholarship initiatives. Some of that CARES money has gone into scholarship initiatives with deadlines. When my son was applying to school, I made him a grid. He had the college. Did they have a deadline? Was there a priority scholarship deadline for that application? Did they have a separate scholarship application? What was that deadline? And then I made him set up 2-week reminders. Now, did he follow all of that? No. But I wanted to empower him to be able to apply to the schools that he was interested in applying to and get the maximum amount of money. As well as I think others want to speak, so I want to let them speak. I'm pretty sure someone is going to say this, but the free application for federal student aid is imperative. You need to fill that out. Many colleges and universities have scholarships that have a need component, and the only way that you can determine that need component is by filling out that free application for federal student aid.
Thank you so much. A whole lot to unpack. And yes, we do have a few colleagues that want to join in. Let's start with Dr. Brian Armstrong. Dr. Armstrong?
Thank you, Ms. Jones. And I just wanted to add to what Janika was saying, that the free application for federal student aid is going to be a real lifesaver for many students and their parents, especially as we're in the middle of this pandemic. On the free application for federal student aid, we call it the FAFSA. There are up to 10 spots for a student to put down at a college or a university. And we often see 1 or 2 schools listed there, that dream school and that fallback school. And pre-COVID, a dream school may have been reachable, a fallback school may have been a for sure thing. But now we're talking about the economics of a pandemic and parents losing jobs or being furloughed, or resources that may have been available 2 years ago not being available either this year or for the 4 years to come for your student to be in a 4-year university or college. So it's critical that students understand that there are lots of options across the nation. There are in-state schools and out-of-state schools. There are HBCUs like Texas Southern University. There are predominantly white institutions. There's 2 years, 4 years. There's even trade schools, community colleges. So, you know, it may not be ideal to start at a 2-year and then go to a 4-year, but ideal is no longer the case for anything when we're talking about a pandemic and COVID-19. We have to be real now. What is affordable? And what may be affordable in 2021 may not be affordable in 2022 when you become a sophomore or a junior or a senior. You know, we talk quite a bit about getting into college. What happens when you get in? How do you stay in? How do you stay in and graduate in 4 years? How do you become successful and earn your degree? A scholarship may can get you to the door. What keeps you in that door and puts that cap and gown on you and 4 years later? The FAFSA is a great start to that. So I hope parents and students give that FAFSA a real good look, because it is truly that one-stop application process to help students get the financial aid that they need.
Thank you so much, Brian. Charles, can you add, please?
We hear a lot of conversation about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Diversity could mean Black students. Every college on this screen wants you as a Black student. For those who are Black watching, you need to take advantage of that need that these institutions have. Number one, if you've received a financial aid award, you can appeal in most cases at any institution based on the impact of COVID. Number one. Number two, scholarships. You must do scholarship research. Don't pay anybody to do the research for you. Look for scholarships. I'm going to name another celebrity. And I ask this question when I'm talking to students. Does Sean Carter have a scholarship foundation? Sean Carter is Jay-Z. He has a scholarship foundation. You must do your due diligence. You must understand who you are. People want you as students. Number three, companies and corporations have scholarships for you. You have to be aggressive and pursue it. My institution has a second campus right next to Google, YouTube, IMAX. Do they have scholarships? Yes. You must put in the work. You have to, because these institutions want you. I'm so excited I could go on for 4 hours, but I won't do that.
No, I don't think I can let you do that today. Let me try to get Portia in. Portia, what about you? What did you want to contribute?
Well, yeah, my colleagues have, they have actually articulated everything that I wanted to say. Of course, as he just stated, the research is very imperative. You have to do your research. There are a lot of programs and money available at the universities that are not actually maybe listed in plain view. So you actually have to take that time to actually dig deep in, do the research. I know for Tennessee State University, we have something called a 250-mile radius, meaning if your high school is located within 250 miles of our university, you receive 60% off of your out-of-state tuition fees. So those types of things are things that you can find within your research. And also, I actually serve as a professor in the College of Business at Tennessee State University. And I always try to, when I'm talking to students that are coming into the university, I always let them know that scholarships do not have to stop at freshman year. It is very important that students and parents alike remember that you can continue to get scholarships as you matriculate through your 4 years. As a professor in the College of Business, I do work with supply chain management students, and we are giving these students top-notch scholarships every single year until they graduate. So just definitely remember that the money doesn't stop freshman year. You can still apply for money and get money as you go through college.
Thank you, Portia. I want to move on to Devon for our final comment in this area. Devon from UCLA.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to comment on your initial question on, is going to college during this pandemic worth it right now? We know that the average African-American net worth is $17,000, while the average white American is $170,000. We know that during this pandemic, unemployment for people with high school diplomas has been much higher than unemployment for people with college diplomas. We know that over your lifetime, if you get a college degree, on average, you will earn $1 million more in your lifetime than you will if you do not get a college degree. So during this pandemic, I think it has been very clear that we need to make sure our community continues to get educated, continues to get networking opportunities that happen at college, and continue to get amazing career opportunities. Things that we're doing at UCLA is we're providing the Winston Dobie Scholarship for our African-American community. This is California, international, or out of state. And then we have our Blue and Gold Opportunity Scholarship as well for our in California resident students who have $80,000 or less as a household income. We are providing free tuition for 4 years at UCLA. So we are making sure we are partnering with you to make sure we can make a difference in the community.
Thank you so very much. This is good information. Now let's move to some actual experiences on campus. And I'm going to turn to Robert Oliveira, University of Maryland, to help me with this. Robert, are the colleges and university classes all virtual at this point? Are there some in-person classes? And really, what steps are schools taking to ensure optimal learning, whichever process you end up having to use?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And for our universities, it depends on the school. Every school's doing things a little bit different, and it also depends a lot on the size of the school. So University of Maryland being a large university with over 30,000 undergraduate students, we did push more towards virtual. The majority of our courses were in a virtual setting. However, labs and research and patent pending projects continue to be in person with safeguards in place. We did offer housing as well on campus and dining as grab as you go, but the housing programming was still virtual. So there was a lot of virtual settings. The optimal learning thing, or piece of this, I guess I should say, is truly something that we focus on. We're keeping the same professors. They are still communicating with the students, and they have a little bit more time because they don't have the travel time built in. They also have more technology so they can screen share with you and guide you through on your own computer some of these information and processes. So that optimal learning piece, however we lose the in-person, we gain technology.
Thank you so much, Robert. Simone, why don't you tell me what NCCU is doing?
So NCCU is a medium to large size HBCU. So we have about 8,000 plus students, and we have an average classroom size of 23. So right now we are hybrid, where we have, say you have 20 students in the class, you have Group A and Group B. Group A will consist of maybe 10 students that will meet on Monday, and Group B will meet virtually for that same class. And then on Wednesday, Group B will be in person with those 13 students, or well, 20, I'm sorry, I said 20. So with those 10 students, and Group A will be virtual on Wednesday. So they kind of swap. So they're both getting that in-person and virtual experience, and they're not missing out on anything. So we've opted to do that this year so that they're not feeling, that virtual fatigue, or the Zoom fatigue we all speak of. So I think in the fall, it may look different, but right now it's been working, and a lot of students have liked that, being in a hybrid setting.
Speaking of hybrid settings, I know, Brian, your institution is also in a hybrid setting at Texas Southern.
Yes, Ms. Jones, at TSU, Texas Southern University, for fall and for spring, we actually had hybrid options for students where, much like NCCU, students would attend maybe one in class one day a week, and they would have 2 days of virtual learning. But one thing that we also implemented was our Live Safe app, where students could actually download resources, and they could actually do a daily screening. So if they weren't feeling well, or if they had been in contact with someone who recently tested positive for COVID-19, or was caring for someone who was COVID-19 positive, they could let us know that, so that protocols could be put in place to keep not just that student safe, but our entire campus safe. So that Live Safe app was very helpful to our campus.
That's fantastic. Thank you so very much. I'm happy to see that I do have two experts from the University of California, Los Angeles, Jamika and Devon. And so I'm going to ask that they both come on camera for me as I ask a couple of questions in one particular area. Jamika, I'll start with you. Since the pandemic started, what additional benefits and services are schools offering? Why don't we go with that first?
Okay, I would say for UCLA in particular, we've really been looking to make sure that students are aware of all of the resources the university has and how those translate to the virtual environment. So there are things like virtual town halls that students can be a part of to make sure that they're aware of what we're doing in terms of symptom contact tracing, to make sure that they're aware of the virtual resources that can be helpful to them as they transition to online learning, whether that be technology support or access to devices. I know Devon talked a little bit about that earlier as well. Making sure that the mental health resources that we offer on campus can also be translated to the virtual environment, or so that they can be connected to folks in their hometown area as well, if that support is necessary. So I think we're really just looking to beef up what we already offer and translate that to students wherever they might be.
And Devon, just to piggyback on that, what are schools doing to keep students physically safe during this pandemic?
Yes, ma'am. And thank you for Jamika for adding that. So physically, we are obviously making sure that inside of our dorms, our resident halls, we not only have one student in each of our residential communities. So again, trying to make sure we're limiting the contact. We also have our cleaning team coming in for the facilities, making sure that all of the facilities and the dorms are going to be cleaned every single day, and looking at the actual physical fitness, because health is wealth. We have our virtual fitness classes and our virtual yoga classes as well, to make sure that our students are taking care of their mind, body, and soul.
I'm glad that you said that, because I was actually going to go to Dr. Charles Mason at Loyola Marymount to ask this question. COVID-19 has and will continue to increase the stressors that students face. How are schools responding to the students' need, not just for safety and housing, but food and healthcare and their mental health, as Devon just alluded to?
And obviously, all of those things are very, very important. On our campus, we have not only professional staff who provides counseling and support, we have opportunities for students to get food if they need food with the surrounding community, as well as on the campus itself. We only have maybe 100 students on our campus, actually, essentially because there's no place else for them to go. The majority of our students are taking courses online, but even with that, we make sure that students in their homes or wherever they are we're in touch with them. We provide them resources wherever they might be, because we are connected to communities all over the country to provide them with support, from food to healthcare resources, you name it. The entire scope is that we're there because we're a community and we're a family. I would like to go into detail. I know we don't have that much time, but we are there for the students. Absolutely, 100%.
Absolutely. And as I look over this group, we've been trying to stick to on time, but I want to make sure that we get everybody's comments when it comes to this particular topic. And so as I start to wrap up, I'm going to ask you all to actually give me your final thoughts. Please share any tips or insights and strategies on really making the most out of this unconventional year as the pandemic impacts the college search and admissions process across the nation. You are our experts, and you have just been so generous with your time and advice. I'd love for you to summarize for just a little bit, and I'll go ahead and start again where I'll end where I started. Let me start with Les Ferrier from Florida A&M University.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Jones. Actually, I wanted to go back to the other question. Don't forget that students are still looking for jobs. They're going to be graduating, and they put a lot of time into careers. So we've had a very robust career services effort, virtually. And, the name FAMU means something out there in the corporate and the graduate world. So they have responded as well. Two groups that I want to speak to very briefly. The seniors, this admission cycle is almost over. This is what I would recommend to you. This is a marriage. We need you as badly as you need us. Contact those individual academic departments that you're going to be joining, all right? They want to be able to brag and make you successful and graduate and so forth. But we know that you can't do that if you don't have the funds to afford. So there are opportunities there for you. Let the institution that you really want to go to, let them know that you want to go there and you need just a little bit of help. You will not be perceived as greedy. As far as the next group, the group transitioning from the 11th grade to the 12th grade, please be cautioned that regardless of how holistic the process is next year, students, you may have to take the SAT or the ACT, and there might be a school or university that comes up that you didn't plan on applying to that do require those. So be on your P's and Q's about that. Start looking online for scholarships very, very early, and just basically do things early. Our students know at FAMU that if they're on time, they're late. And we don't know if there is going to be a variant that hits us. You have to be ready and just move your dates up, move them up, and you can do it. And best of luck to everyone, and stay safe.
Thank you so much, Les. We appreciate that. Let's go to Tennessee State and Portia Johnson.
Yes, so of course there have been so much great information that has been given out today. The last couple of things that I would like to leave with our future college students is, first of all, do not be discouraged if you are not completely 100% sure of what you want to study. I get that a lot of students that say, that they're confused about what they want to study. But I just want to let you know that when I came to Tennessee State University, I majored in theater. And now I have 2 business degrees. So it is okay to not know what you want to study, and it is okay to change your mind once you get to college. But I would just say, do the research all majors, research the different departments. You might find something that you absolutely love that you might not have thought you love. And also remember that you have to look at scholarship opportunities as well. There are going to be different departments and different majors that you may have never even considered that are offering full ride scholarships. So definitely consider those things when deciding a major. And also, the last thing I want to say is, please reach out to us alums. I know for Tennessee State University, I am a part of the Alumni Association, and we love bringing students to our alma mater. So if there are alumni associations and chapters in your area, please reach out to those chapters. Please make sure that you see what scholarships they have available and just what resources they have available, because there are, I know for TSU, we have so many great resources within our alumni association. So do not be afraid to reach out to them as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Portia. Simone, talk to us from North Carolina Central's perspective.
From NCCU's perspective, you know what, we're encouraging you all to definitely come to and join the Eagle family. But what I would like to tell, seniors, and if you are in high school, I would say start early and do your research, especially like looking up the requirements for the school of your choice. For example, looking at mandatory course requirements. So if you know your schedule doesn't align with what is required from these institutions, talk to your counselor and see if you can take those classes while you're in high school, because a lot of times it's too late, when you notice that those classes are needed. So it's important that you're looking at those requirements earlier so you're ready and prepared to join any collegiate family. Also, do your homework, stay connected to the institutions. You can start early, even as early as your sophomore year, with staying connected to college campuses.
Thank you so much, Simone. I so do appreciate it. Janika Moore from Miami University.
All right. This has been amazing. I've enjoyed myself. Thank you so much for having me. The quick thing that I want to tell our families and our students is embrace the changes that have happened with COVID. I know that this has been a tumultuous time, but there are so many initiatives and efforts that have open access up to you, to giving you, for example, if you're in Ohio and you want to explore UCLA, you have the opportunity to explore that campus without even stepping foot on that campus. I know that there's that need to be on campus, but really embrace these open access opportunities to explore the over 4,000 schools in the United States. We're not even counting international universities. So embrace that. Take advantage of these virtual opportunities. Follow social media of the colleges and universities that you're interested in, because a lot of them are doing programs and they post those programs online, and you can have access to attend some of these great programs that they're hosting for their students on campus. So embrace the virtual reality.
Thank you so very much. What a great piece of advice. And let me go now to the University of Maryland. And Robert Oliveri, you've been so good and with the great suggestions. I know you got something to wrap us up with now.
Yes, definitely. And I want to dive over to the application piece. The college application is a big part of what we do as reviewing and working with you as students. We want to make sure that you'll be successful when we're reading over that application. And we want to make sure you elevate your application and don't leave anything out. Really make sure that every little detail is on there that you've done, every talent, every skill, because anything that we're missing leaves a little puzzle piece out of your perfect painting for us to know who you are as an applicant and give you that best reader review.
Thank you so much, Robert. I appreciate that. I know the students do also. From Texas Southern University, Dr. Brian Armstrong, please wrap us up.
I am, so grateful and thankful to the ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated for providing this kind of opportunity that even in the middle of a pandemic, we're able to virtually connect with students and their parents and our colleagues around the nation and around the world. And that's an amazing opportunity. I want to just let students know, I know the pandemic is scary and we've been virtual and we're now in a socially distanced environment and we're saying, space is great and things like that, but don't be afraid to embrace actually attending a college campus, living on a college campus. If it's not for you, the virtual is available, but if it is for you, and for many of you out there, it is for you, because when you're active on a college campus, when you're a part of an organization like Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, or my fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, you get connected to students across your campus, to chapters across the state and nation, and to members around the world. And these are lifelong organizations. And events like this could not happen if young women were not interested in being a part of 100-plus-year-old organizations like Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So be active on campus. If attending a four-year university financially is not affordable for you, consider transferring to a four-year school after you successfully start and complete a two-year program. Many of us have two-year partnerships where you can start at 2 and end with 4. I want to give a huge shout out to my colleague, Connie Cochran, a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And I'd be remiss, Star, if I didn't shout out the Fighting Tigers of Texas Southern University as they win the SWAC championship, and they start off the NCAA tournament on Thursday. So go Tigers.
I love that school spirit. I also love that you represent for the organizations that you love. I know exactly how you feel. Pretty boys like pretty girls, and pretty girls wear 20 pros. You know, I could not resist that at all. Could not resist. Let's now go to the University of California at Los Angeles. And Devon, will you speak for your university, please?
Of course. So I wanted to cover 3 things really quickly. Number 1 is kind of what Ms. Moore said, is get engaged in the online activities, even past visiting colleges, which is an amazing opportunity to be able to go online and visit anywhere, but also getting involved in your activities in leadership. There's amazing organizations that can help develop you, and you can put that on your application, even in a virtual space. Number 2, I said this earlier, but take your community college classes if you have access to them. Our California community colleges are online. So if you want to get a little sneak peek into California Community College, you can take those courses and they will transfer over when you go to one of our UC campuses. And the last one is enter college as best you can with your mission, right? How are you going to leave that university and go back to your community and make your community a better place, help out your family? How are you going to go to any of these amazing institutions and give back? And if you don't know your mission yet, joining one of the amazing Divine Nine organizations, me, myself personally, I chose Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, but there are amazing organizations that can help you get networked and connected with other people who are passionate about this work.
I love my Divine Nine brothers and sisters with all my heart and soul. And finally, Loyola Marymount University. Charles, will you please wrap us up for our panel?
This has been an amazing night. I want to thank everybody, especially parents, and to the students. We haven't met you, but we know you. We love you, and we're always here for you. Do not be afraid to ask questions and to ask for help. This year especially, every year. I'm going to put my information in the chat, my email address, my cell number. I'm here to help you because I'm from South Central LA. A lot of people help me. A lot of people are watching over me, ancestors. My responsibility is to help and to help young people, just like a lot of people help me. Don't be afraid to ask anybody on this screen for help. We love you. We appreciate you. The world needs you, your talent, your gift, your scholarship.
Thank you so much, Charles. We certainly do appreciate that. I am going to ask, because we're in a webinar setting, I am going to ask that the organizers and the producers take the contact information that our panelists are so graciously sharing and transfer that over so that it is made a part of the webinar that would allow our students and parents and concerned members of the community, because you know we have an extended family that makes up our community of people who want to support our students and get them educated. And so I'm going to ask that we can put that information into our YouTube chat as well as into our Facebook chat, because listen, you have the opportunity, young people, to talk to, be mentored by, be connected to people who are actually going to make the determination on whether or not you can get into the school of your choice. And so this is a great opportunity for you to be connected in that way. I just want to thank this panel. I said you were stellar when we began. I just didn't realize how stellar you were. As a parent of a 15-year-old, a sophomore now, moving into his junior year next year, we are going to be laser focused on everything you told us. I'm glad that I have the privilege of being able to go back and replay this so that I'll know exactly what I'm supposed to do. And trust me, I will be following up with you all. Thank you again for your participation. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your inspiration. And thank you for being aspirational to our students. Thank you. We're almost done, everyone. However, as our last piece of business for the evening, I really am excited to tell you about our plans for the 2021 college signing day. I know that's one of the best days of a young person's life, and our chapters are going to participate in our First Lady, Michelle Obama. You know, she's always going to be the First Lady to me. Michelle Obama's college signing day, May 1st. So May 1st, 2021, Alpha Kappa Alpha is going to partner with bettermakeroom.org for the 2021 National Signing Day as a positive outlook for college students. National Signing College Day was started by our former First Lady, Michelle Obama, and continued after the Obama administration. I know that our present First Lady, Jill Biden, is going to continue this program because this is so important to her also. This National College Signing Day will be celebrated across the country, and Alpha Kappa Alpha will communicate more information soon so that you can start planning your college reveal day. And finally, as we come to a close for this evening, I'm really proud to tell you that Alpha Kappa Alpha has taken this issue on as a major program focus for our organization. So, Aura, thank you for your leadership in this regard. Alpha Kappa Alpha graduate and undergraduate chapters will be working with community high schools to identify juniors and seniors who need assistance initiating and completing the college application process. We call it a step-by-step approach. We actually call it STEP, and that will help high school seniors effectively and efficiently navigate the college enrollment process at any college or university, whether it's an HBCU or a non-HBCU. STEP will include locating scholarships and other financial aid, helping students with the ACT and SAT preparation and fees, and ensuring that students compile a portfolio of information regarding the colleges to which they've applied, along with the results obtained. Oh yeah, we're going to help you put a plan together. There will be several opportunities for juniors to get a head start on the application and enrollment process. Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority chapters have already enrolled 140,000 students in its CAP program since 2019. I want to thank you so very much for joining us this evening, and I wish you all the best for successfully navigating the college admissions process. Thank you.